Spirit don't move on the schedule. She listens first, then she speaks. You never know with her. You never know with her. She don't rehearse, she receives. One working cut up and free. Yeah, you never know with her. She quiet, the spirit say go. Then you start taking control. You never know with her. She don't explain what she knows. She just delivers the message and goes. She don't clock in, she tapped in. Episode change with the breath she breathing. Some days it's comfort, some days it's mirror. Some days it's love, some days it's clearer. She don't perform, she channel. Say less, but her presence is mental. Ego get nervous, mask get tight. Cause true walk heavy when it into the light. She'll laugh with you, then pause mid-sentence. Say one thing that hits your chest like a sentence. Didn't plan it, didn't write it down. Spirit said now, so now it sounds. She don't know what's coming either, till it land on her tongue. She a vessel, not a script, that's why everywhere you run. You never know with her. She might soothe you or stir you awake. Say the thing you scared to say. You never know with her. She trusts what move through her hands. Not everybody don't understand. You never know. She don't predict, she obey. That's why every word feel brave. You never know with her. One episode tears, next one fire. One moment prayer, next one quiet. She let spirit drive the wheel. That's why it always feels so real. She don't promise easy healing, she promise honest release. If you sit her space too long, you might have to meet your peace. She don't want you what's ahead, cause spirit don't ask permission. If you click play, you already chose to receive the transmission. She not random, she responsive. She move when I say no call. Every word time divinely, even when it shake your world.
Spiritual Narcs. Yeah, it happens. Let me ask y'all something real quick. And I want you to really think about it before you answer in your head. Because this might take a few people this might make a few people a little uncomfortable today. Don't trip, I'm still drinking coffee. But that's all right. Sometimes uncomfortable conversations are the ones that actually clear the air. Have you ever noticed how some people step into spiritual spaces, talking about healing, consciousness, awakening, enlightenment, all that language people like to throw around, but after you watch things for a while, you start realizing that the whole situation somehow turns into it being about them. Everything they say is supposed to be deep, right? It's supposed to be some type of wisdom. Every sentence they drop is treated like it came straight down from the heavens. Oh! And everybody around them is expected to nod their head and absorb it without question. And you know what? The moment somebody does raise an eyebrow or ever asks a question, or see something a little different than they do, then the conversation changes real quick, right? Suddenly the problem is not what you said. The problem becomes you. You're told that you're not ready yet. Still operating from ego. And then you're told that you're not spiritually mature enough to understand what's being said. If you have spent any time around certain circles or something like that, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Because this type of situation pops up more often than people want to talk about. If you don't believe me, go over to, no, I won't say that. Well, well, it's vast. Go over to the spiritual sector for a little bit. Poke around there for a little bit. And that's all I got to say about that. Yeah. On the surface, right? Everything looks like love and light and positive. Everybody's talking about growth and evolution and raising the consciousness collectively. But underneath all that talking, there's another pattern going on that people don't always recognize right away. And what you're looking at isn't somebody trying to guide people towards wisdom. Sometimes what you're looking at is a person who enjoys being seen as the most enlightened person in the room. There's a difference between someone sharing insight and someone building their identity around being admired for how spiritually advanced they appear to be. Pardon me. I hope this cold goes away soon. That's where things get a little messy. So sit back, man, and just look when you turn on the TV set, when you scroll through. I call it the 5-minute church. When you go to TikTok or Instagram and you listen and then you watch. It's very disheartening, man. Sometimes because when spirituality turns into a stage show for ego, the whole purpose of the work, it gets twisted. And instead of helping people reconnect with their own inner compass, their own barometer, when you start training people to look outward for validation, it turns into a situation where one voice becomes the authority and everybody else is expected to follow along without pushing back. That moment, someone strikes out. And when somebody does push back, even respectfully, they get labeled as being negative, not ready for the message. You think you know everything. Sit your butt down. But let's call it for what it really is. Just for a minute. Sometimes what people are dealing with in those moments has a name that has not even been brought up. But today, we're going to bring it up. It's called spiritual narcissism. A lot more people have run into that situation more than they realize. Welcome to Blended Healing. We're here today. Yep, we're here. Spiritual Narcs. It's amazing. You really need to go take a stroll through those streets over there. You'd be amazed. But no harm, no foul, no judgment zone here. Who am I to say? You know, I'm just little old me sitting in my own little corner in my own side of the world in my own little microcosm, minding my damn business just the way I like to. And my cave is comfortable. I just came out of the cave just to talk to y'all today.
Second guessing it don't help me. I'm so tired of feeling empty. Dry my eyes, it's time to fight. Seems like I'm always against me. Seems like this is never ending. And I refuse to let it end me. Mentally, spiritually, physically, I need my peace. Oh, I need my peace. I wake up every morning and tell myself, good morning, gorgeous. Sometimes you gotta look in the mirror and say, good morning, gorgeous. No one else can make me feel this way. Good morning, gorgeous. Good morning, gorgeous. Good morning, gorgeous. All the times that I hated myself, yeah. All the times that I wanted to be someone else. All the times that I should have been gentle with me. All the times that I should have been careful with me. Why did I hate myself? Why did I hate so intensely? Lord help me. I wake up every morning and tell myself, good morning, gorgeous. Sometimes I gotta look in the mirror and say, good morning, gorgeous. No one else can make me feel this way. Good morning, gorgeous. Good morning, gorgeous. Good morning, gorgeous.
Grand Rising, gorgeous, handsome, Grand Rising. Let's continue because now let's build on what we talked about just a little bit ago. Because once you start seeing it, you can't unsee it. Spirituality, at its core, is supposed to help people grow, to help understand yourself better, to understand life better, and hopefully move all through this 3D world with a little bit more wisdom than you had yesterday. That's the point of it. Being a servant leader. It's supposed to help people become stronger on the inside, not more dependent on somebody else to tell them what their spirit is saying. But every now and then, something happens inside these places that throws the whole thing off balance. The focus starts to drift away from the actual work and lands directly on the personalities that are presenting for you instead. Instead of the conversation being about growth, healing, and learning, the conversation starts being about one person and how impressive they appear to be now. All of a sudden, the message takes a back seat and the image of the messenger is now put out in the forefront. You start noticing the patterns that start popping up. Somebody always has to be the deepest voice in the room. Every conversation somehow circles back to their experience, their vision, their level of awareness. They. They position themselves like a gatekeeper of understanding. Like if you really want to grow, you have to pass through them first. What type of shit? What is that? Because if you sit back long enough and just observe, you'll see how people slowly get pulled into that. People start quoting them like scripture. They repeat what they say word for word, and then they look at that person to interpret every little thing that happens in their life. The person in the spotlight really pushes that attention away. I'm just saying, they rarely do. In fact, if you think about it, a lot of times they lean into that and they start building on an identity around being the most enlightened one in the doggone space. You see it online all the time: TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch. And Reckless TV. Yeah. I can't say radio no more because that's almost obsolete, you know. You know what I mean? It's it's more about streaming now. It's a bigger mass consumption. They turn on the camera, speak in a calm voice and drop a few spiritual buzzwords, and suddenly they position themselves like they hold the master key to everybody's awakening. People start gathering around live streams, reposting the clips, and before long, the person becomes bigger than the program. And that's where things start getting real crazy. Because the moment spirituality becomes a stage play for admiration instead of a tool for self understanding, the purpose starts not being in alignment. Instead of encouraging people to trust their own instincts and develop their own awareness, the people around start nudging people to keep looking outward for the next revelation from the same voice. And the more and more that happens, right, the more space stops being about collective growth and starts revolving around keeping that personality at the center of attention. I'm trying to tell you, go take a look. Go ahead. Like I said, no harm, no judgment zone here. You know, there's lots going on. And it's not just in spirituality. It's in the church house. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. And let me ask you this. How does this whole thing even get built in the first place? There's usually a pattern. If you pay attention long enough, somebody begins saying things that sound wise. They speak real calm and slow and drop a few sprinkles and phrases about consciousness, energy, purpose. People start leaning in because it sounds good. I heard what you said. No, this is not about hateration. This is about knowledge. I'm telling you, just like in everything else, discernment, discernment, discernment. Now let me get back to this because I heard you. A lot of what they say, right, may even have some truth mixed in it, and that's how it usually begins, you know. Nothing wrong with that. Not with that part. People sharing insight, reflecting on life, and talking about lessons they learned along the way. But somewhere along the line, the situation starts changing a little bit. The person doesn't just share ideas anymore. They start building an image around themselves. And it's not just the message being heard, it's the persona that's being built. The presentation starts to matter more. The voice gets slower, more dramatic. The words start sounding heavy, like every sentence carries some kind of hidden revelation. And the image of being deeply enlightened begins forming in the minds of people watching. I heard you again. I did. Yes, I am a part of the collective. But if you know me and if you follow me, it's never been my stilo. All right? Okay. Everybody's a critic, man. Everybody. As I was saying, people start responding to the image. And if you see it happening, you can see it right there happening right there in real time. Comments start filling up with people saying things like, "You just changed my life," or "You're the only one speaking truth. Nobody else understands this the way you do." And that kind of attention does something to a person if they're not careful. Instead of pushing that spotlight away, they start stepping further into it. From there, the next stage usually comes up real stealth like. The individual begins putting themselves as the voice of the people, should come back to again and again and again. Not at first, though, not directly. It's subtle. They start hinting that other teachers don't really understand the deeper levels the way that they do. They act like that most people are still asleep while they're the one of the few who are truly aware. Slowly, people begin leaning on that voice more than they lean on their own instincts or intuition. And instead of thinking things through for themselves, they start waiting for the next live stream, the next post, the next video to tell them how to interpret what's happening in their lives. That's how dependency gets built. Without people, you don't even know what's happening to you. And what started out as someone sharing ideals turns into a situation where one personality becomes the center of interpretation for everybody around them. And once that pattern locks in, people don't always notice how far things have drifted from the original purpose of the work. Because spirituality was supposed to help you reconnect with your understanding, your own awareness, your own inner direction. It was never meant to replace your judgment with somebody else's voice. When that personality becomes the focal point, the line between guidance and control starts to have blurred lines. And I know that a lot of y'all have watched that happen right in front of y'all before without having the words to explain what y'all was seeing. I'll be right back after this.
Fouja, feel the pulse beneath your feet, and breath of reflection, every step a choice. Welcome to your frequency of the soul. Every heartbeat, synchronized frequency of the soul. Blended healing realms. Let's be honest. Let's be honest. Healing is work. Shadows will rise. You must not shirk. Real talk, no fluff. Step in the light. Integration is God, what transformation is might. Move with intention. Stay rooted, stand tall. The path is the long, but we answer the call. Wisdom in rhythm, truthing the sound. Centered in self, feet on the ground.
Welcome back. COC forever, baby. Make sure that you subscribe to all of the content creators underneath the COC umbrella. Competition is never collaborative. But if you flip that in reverse, collaboration comes first. Way over competition. You can get more done as a collaboration. Ashe? All right. Let's continue. I think I may have reached the amen section, because once you understand the pattern, the red flags start standing out real clear. The first thing that you're going to notice is how discernment gets handled. In a healthy environment or space, people can ask questions, they challenge the ideals, and they still respect each other. That's normal. That's how people learn. But when you're dealing with somebody operating from that narcissistic angle, disagreement does not stay a discussion for very long. Instead of addressing the point that was raised, the conversation gets flipped back onto the person who asked the question. Suddenly, the issue isn't the topic anymore. Now it's about your level of awareness. Now you're told you're spiritually immature and you're told that you're not ready for certain truths. So let's examine the ideal. There must be something wrong with you for even asking, right? Isn't that what you feel like? Isn't that how they make you feel? Uh, and when that happens enough times, people start second guessing themselves. They stop asking questions altogether because they don't want to be labeled as the one who just doesn't get it. Another red flag pops up when questioning something becomes framed as resistance to your own growth. You'll hear the language a lot. Somebody raises a concern or points out something that doesn't sit right. And instead of dealing with the concern, it gets dismissed like a quick spiritual label. You're resisting your evolution. Your ego is fighting the truth. You're blocking your own blessings. When you hear things like that, you get used to having a shield. So the person in the spotlight never has to actually answer the question that was raised. It turns what could have been a thoughtful conversation into a one sided structure where only one voice gets to define what growth looks like. Let's talk about it. Then there's another sign that really tells you what kind of dynamic you're looking at. The approval of the person becomes something people start running after. You'll see followers constantly looking for validation from them. They want to be acknowledged in the papers, in the comment section, praised in the live stream, recognized as one of the people who gets it. And once that approval becomes the prize, then cue the drama because everything now is changing in the atmosphere. And instead of people thinking independently, they start aligning themselves with whatever position they believe will keep them in good standing with the leader. And over time, that's around you slowly starts changing from a space of exploration into something that feels like a hierarchy. One voice at the top. Everybody else tried to stay in favor beneath. And when you see those three things happening together, disagreement being treated like immaturity, honest questions getting labels as being a resistor, and followers competing for approval. And that's when people start reeling. That's when people just start like, yo, they're just not dealing with the teacher anymore. They're looking at a situation where ego has stepped into the driver's seat and the original purpose of the space has started going somewhere else entirely. Now this is where we take a turn. Because up to this point we've been talking about what the behavior looks like out there, but this is the moment where the focus can change. At some point the attention has to come back to you and your ability to recognize what your instincts have been trying to tell you all along. Because the truth is, most people who end up in situations like that felt something was long before they could put words to it. And there was that moment when something didn't quite sit right in your spirit. Maybe it was something that was said. Maybe it was the way a question got shut down. Maybe it was the way people were expected to fall in line without thinking for themselves. That little signal right there inside of you, you know, when you're in an environment where one voice keeps telling you that you have the deeper understanding, people start doubting their own judgment. They start wondering if maybe they're the one missing something. That's the turning point right there. The moment you start trusting your own discernment again, not in a reckless way or anything like that, where you reject every teacher or every ideal, but in a grounded way, where you recognize that your ability to question, watch, and think things through is not a weakness. It's actually one of the most important tools that you got. Discernment, discernment, discernment is what protects people from getting pulled into situations that slowly chip away at their independence. It's what allows you to listen to what someone is saying, right? Without handing them the authority to define your entire understanding of life. When people start rebuilding that inner compass, that whole dynamic will change. Suddenly, the spotlight that used to sit on the personality not starts fading a little bit, because once you begin thinking for yourself again, you no longer need someone else to interpret every experience that you have. You can listen to ideals, consider them, take what resonates, leave what doesn't, and keep moving forward on your path. That's how spirituality was always meant to function in the first place. It was supposed to strengthen your awareness, not replace it. And the moment you reconnect with that ability to trust what you're sensing, a lot of the confusion people once felt in their aura around them starts clearing up real fast. Ashe? All right.
By the night, tarot spreads, visions clear, dream Mecca essentials is always near it. Dream Mecca essentials, house of blessings running, spray so low, feel the magic press. Dream Mecca essentials, house of blessings, Lord, every night, every way, lift your spirit rising.
Two of my favorites so you can see the variety. I pulled two of my favorites so you can see the variety. This one is pink champagne and cream. It's soft, delicate, and a little bit celebratory. Perfect layering and fragrance. Let me show you something special from our aromatherapy line. This is our 3-ounce fine mist spray lit within. It's small enough for your bag, but classic us to implement delicious vibes and look. Delicious. Because it's water-based, it melts into the skin and into the air. Never overpowering. Always.
Feel the miracles that
Make sure that you, well, may I offer that you stop by ShamakaEssentials.com. We're a whole.com. Come on over there and see what's in the aisles of the store online. You might even bump into Holistic Royalty by Kells with all those teas and tinctures and stuff. All for wellness, holistic wellness, spiritual and aromatherapy needs, and more. Ashe. I'm not keeping you. I'm about to let you go. But here we go. No one should replace your inner compass. We're going to bring this all the way home, because this is the part that I really need you to sit with. At the end of the day, No matter how wise somebody sounds, no matter how much experience they claim to have, no matter how many followers they have online, no human being walking this earth should ever replace your inner compass. That's between you, the divine, and your spiritual counsel. Guidance is supposed to point you back to yourself, not away from yourself. A real teacher helps you strengthen your own understanding so that over time you need them less and less, not more and more. That's the whole point of growth. The goal was never for somebody to become the permanent interpreter of your life. The moment you start believing another person holds the final authority over your thinking, that's when you start giving away pieces of your independence. You stop checking in with your own instincts and intuition, and you start waiting for somebody else to confirm whether your thoughts, your feelings, or your experiences are valid. And once that habit settles in, it becomes easy for any strong personality to steer the direction of your thinking simply by sounding confident enough. But the truth is, your awareness was never meant to be outsourced like that. Spiritual guidance, when it's healthy, works very differently. It encourages you to observe life for yourself. It encourages you to question things, reflect on your own experiences, and develop your own understanding over time. A real guide doesn't feel threatened when somebody asks us a question. They don't shut down discussion because someone sees things from another angle. In fact, they welcome it because they know that the purpose of the work is not to build followers, it's to help people stand on their own 2 feet mentally and spiritually. And that's where the real power changes. That's when it happens. The moment a person reconnects with their own ability to think clearly, observe carefully, and trust what their instincts are picking up, they need to place somebody else on a pedestal, starts fading away. And you can learn, you can still learn from other people. It's always lifetime, lifelong learning. Always, always. You can still listen to ideals and appreciate insight when it's offered, but you stop handing over the steering wheel of your understanding to somebody else's personality. Your path becomes something you work with instead of something you wait for another voice to define who you are. And once that takes place, it becomes a lot harder for anybody to step into your life and position themselves as the authority over how you're supposed to see the world. You dig? So listen to wisdom wherever you find it and learn what you can from people along the way. But never, never, never give somebody so much authority over your mind that you forget how to hear your own spirit. And that's it, and that's all. I'm done. I'm out of here. Be well, stay safe. Ashe, deep bow to each and every one of you. Don't try to keep me. I'm out of here. I'll be back around 3 o'clock with Poetry and Pulse. All right? All right. Peace.
I forgot my own reflection, staring at you every day. Build my house on shaky ground, pray your storms would go away. Love turned into lifeline, but it was choking me slow. I thought I was saving you, but I was the one letting go. Every I need you sounded like don't leave. I kept pouring till I couldn't breathe. You were the anchor, I was the sea, drowning myself just to keep you free. I was leaning too hard, breaking my back, calling it love, but it felt like lack. Your weight on my shoulders, no room to grow. Codependent heart, and it hurt me so. They don't even know. Wild thoughts don't know.
Sometimes the world gets too loud. Here, it's just the tide and my own heartbeat. This cave, these walls, they hold the sound of the sea like a secret. My little home away from home, out there can wait. For now, I just think I need to add some more things in here. I may be here.
Every tear you didn't cry, I carried it in my chest. Tried to heal what wasn't mine, and called it love at its best. But love ain't a prison cell, a cage wrapped in a kiss. If I lose myself in
And the tea is ready for tasting. Cheers to homemade wellness.
Cheers. That's soothing.
Perfectly balanced, just like I planned.
This would be great for a calm evening.
I will brew a full pot after dinner.
Thanks for this tincture. Just a drop of this.
The recipe down so we don't forget.
Good idea. This should be our signature blend.
Herbs shimmer in that jar.
Look at those labels all lined up. They look
Tan
so
and deep
official.
green is such a royal combo. Holistic Royalty by Kells has a nice ring to
It
it.
really does. I can already picture them on a market table.
Soon. For now, let's toast to first. Comforting, right? Like a hug in a cup.
Exactly. Let's write down the ratio before we forget.
Already on it.
Our tinctures are crafted in small batches so you get the freshest, most popular herbs every time. And I'm thrilled to share that I'm not doing this alone. Standing with me through private classes, it is perfect for locking in moisture all day long. Whether you're new to natural wellness or adding to your ritual, we've got something here for you.
Soft light, evening glow, Jamaica essential, let the magic flow.
Hey, Queen Kells, do you want to give them a hint?
A gentle star, peanut butter, watermelon, berry pie. Crystals on charms and light.
Blended. No yet. We are still working on the surprise, so.
Every drop, every hint, Jamaica essentials, my heart's content. Jamaica. She don't chase, she conjures, speaks in stars, walks in thunder, got moonlight in her bones, burning sage while she moans. She got oils on the dresser, truth in a tongue. A yes is a blessing and no makes you run. She don't sugarcoat spells, don't whisper soft lies. She'll read you the filth and kiss between sides.
Hey family, it's me. Glasses on and glasses off. However you know me, I'm honored to be the face behind the Blended Healing Realms podcast. Every week we talk wellness, energy, and real life steps to grow through what we go through. Pull up a chair, grab some tea, and if you want to keep this energy going, hit that subscribe button on YouTube. You can also find me on Instagram and TikTok at Chamaka Essentials. Same vibe, more ways to connect. I'll see you there.
Blacker than I ever been, despite the lies and fine print behind the devil's grin. See, I was told our skin was sin, they told me this was punishment. But I feel like I'm sunning the mitochondrial evidence of a victim. I took each affliction as character building. Now look at a nigga, something to brag about. How the supremacy of God been fucking showing out. Now everything I breathe on got to venerate my righteous mouth, restore it in black.